So you want to start a podcast. Where do you start? What do you need? How do you get it on all those major outlets? How much does it cost? Those are important questions. We're going to answer all those. Let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, before we kick off this video, I want to introduce myself. My name is Mikhail Casanova. I am a Hawaii content creator, and I am the host of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Casanova Podcast, for the last 5 years. And one of the things that I've looked into when it comes to wanting to help people when it comes to podcasting, because I frequently get asked how to do a podcast, and then you have people that are asking, what is a podcast? And when it comes to questions like that, people typically, when they think of podcasts, they think of Joe Rogan, because that's the most mainstream answer you're going to get. You know, there's a whole bunch of other podcasters that have been doing it longer than him, and even, arguably so, many that have done it better. But when it comes to podcasting, he's the mainstream person that people know, him and Adam Carolla. Now, one of the things is people want to know, how much does it cost to start a podcast? And honestly, you can do a podcast completely free. You can do it using just your cell phone and your headphone attachment that goes with it, or you could step it up and use your tablet, or you can use your laptop or your desktop, or if you're really, really creative, you could actually utilize everything that I've listed and create a podcast. Now, the thing that goes into podcasting, a lot of people are really concerned about more often than not, is mic quality. Some people think, do I need to have an XLR mic such as this Rodecaster here, or do I need to have a USB mic? The most common microphone a lot of people use is the Blue Yeti. And when you look at everything, there's so much, it just really gets complex when you're trying to decide between using an XLR mic, a USB mic. To get an XLR mic, you're gonna need to get an audio interface, and a lot of people are like, what the hell is an audio interface? There's so much that goes into creating a podcast. And with this set of videos that I want to do, the series that I want to do, I want to break it down as to how to start your show, how to do it starting for free, how to decide a theme, how to market yourself, and most of all, really it's not five, it's the encompassing thing of it, is how to have fun with it. Because if you're not having fun doing this, then there's no point in you doing it. We're going to kick it off with, what equipment do you need? How do you do it? How much do you need to invest in starting a podcast? Well, you don't have to invest really anything. You probably already have everything that you need to start a podcast. And then there's sites that you're going to need to deal with, because one of the conversations I think a lot of people need to have when it comes to podcasting is, what are good sites to use to host your podcast? Honestly, a lot of them will, and I'm not going to disparage any companies that utilize services to get your show out there, but on the back end, they actually own all your content. You don't own any of it. It's one of those things. So to kick off with starting a podcast, you just need yourself more than anything, because podcast is you having a conversation more often than not with your audience, be it your audience could be just yourself, or it could be several dozens, hundreds, thousands, millions, or more. Really, it's just you having a conversation and talking about things that you enjoy. For me, with the Casanova Podcast, it is a talk show interview style. Think Arsenio Hall, or think Oprah show. And hell, even Joe Rogan, you can think of it that way too. Where I'm having a sit down conversation with my guests, and I'm trying to figure out how they got into the fields that they're in, what are some things that they've learned along the way, some things about them, their background, and what they enjoy, things outside of their work and their fields, things that they personally have a passion for. Just how that can correlate to the audience if they're curious about getting into said fields or learning more about their favorite people. So it's organic conversation style of format of the show. And I've evolved over the years. I've started off with just trying to, first I was just doing QA, you know, writing down my questions when it comes to my guests. And then as I've gotten more confident, more comfortable in the role over the years, I've gotten to a point where I can just easily just, you know, just have a conversation with the person. No questions needed. You know, it's just wherever the conversation flows is where it goes. And it can take time building up to that if you're not already a conversationalist. If you're a conversationalist, then you really can easily hop into podcasting and interviewing people if that's what you want to do. If you want to interview people, or if you just want to have a dialogue going about something you're interested in. You may want to talk about, you know, something as simple as like why this wavy brush is not the best brush out there, or why it is and why it's double-sided. Like you could really take anything and create a conversation around it, because ultimately that is what a podcast is. It is a conversation piece. That's the main thing. You and what you want to talk about. You already have stories as an individual. I'm sure that there's many things you've experienced, you've done, you've wanted to do, things you're curious or passionate about. Let that come through. Let your passions and your interests come through, because that is the main key thing right there that you need. The second thing you're going to need is equipment to record your podcast. Now, if you have a smartphone, which I'm sure everyone has a smartphone at this point, all you need is a recording software. You could literally just use your recording feature on your smartphone or on your tablet or on your computer, and there you go, you're recording audio. Or if you want to do video, just use the camera functionality and record yourself, and it'll record the audio as well. You know, it's just something to get you started. Or if you really want to step it up, you could utilize a USB mic. You know, I don't typically recommend people hop into podcasts and start using something like this, like a XLR mic and an audio interface, just because I think that's something you need to slowly warm yourself into. Get used to using what you have, or if you have a USB mic, or if you're a streamer or content creator already, you already have most of this equipment. Just go ahead and use that. And then when you get to a point where you want to step up your quality, then go towards an XLR. But if you feel like you just want to come out the gate and get an XLR, this is what you can do. Just, you know, the Rodecaster, I stand by. I absolutely love it. There's also that Shure mic, which many people refer to as the Joe Rogan mic, you can utilize. That's one of the best and most iconic mics on the market. You're just going to need to know that you're going to need several items of equipment to get that going. A cloud lifter, as well as a powered audio interface. Like for me, I use the Go XLR. You can use the Rodecaster. There's many other audio interfaces that have ample gain and power to go through and power that microphone. But yeah, that's getting kind of complicated. But yeah, this a simple USB mic, or even a headset mic. You want to have rich, warm audio that doesn't sound like, you know, like you're just eating the microphone, which many headsets do sound like that. Most of the headsets that come with phones nowadays, such as like, you know, the ones that come with your iPhone, or ones that come with your, you know, your Samsungs or your Android phones, those microphones on those headsets are actually pretty good, and you could actually do some recording. Just keep in mind that when you move, that picks up the sound of your body movement, or especially when it, you know, rushes up on your shirt, and that can sound a little annoying. Whereas if you use a USB mic, just make sure your room is fairly curated. So, you know, if you got the Blue Yeti, it's an excellent microphone for recording. The only thing about that is that once you start, if your room is loud or noisy in any other way, the Yeti, even though it's omnidirectional, meaning it can pick up any direction, you want to have it in cardioid mode where it is actually picking up directly in front of it. It still will pick up on these small sounds around you. Keep that in mind if you're going to record. Make sure it is in a quiet place. Whereas if you get a microphone that is, if you go with an XLR, there's two types of microphones. I know I'm getting really technical and complicated here, I just want to get this all out of the way. If you go with an XLR, you have condenser and you have dynamic. Those two mics offer two entirely different things. If you have an incredibly noisy room like me, I have the air conditioner on, you probably can't hear it, or just about anything else in the room right now, then that's because of my dynamic microphone, which picks up directly in front of it and purely just my voice. It is not going to pick up anything else. If I have a condenser microphone, it is a little bit softer, a little bit more warm, but it does pick up a lot of sound in the room. It's a very sensitive style of microphone. Those are the two. And most of the USB mics that you pick up are a condenser style of microphone. That's some things to keep in mind. So that's the equipment. If you're going to do video, you can utilize a webcam. There's the Logitech C920. There is the Logitech Brio if you want a higher quality type of webcam. There's, typically if you're looking at webcams, Logitech is the company you're going to go with. But if you want to step it up, like right now, I'm using my DSLR camera connected to my capture card into my computer. If you're looking for that level of quality, where all the little details are being shown, that's a bit of a more technical setup. Not discouraging anyone who wants to kick it off right there, but biggest thing when it comes to anything from podcasting, streaming, content creation, you don't want to overinvest into things that you're not gonna understand how to use. Like, you don't want to come out the gate and be like, oh, I'm gonna buy this and this, I'm gonna have the best stuff, and then you don't know how to use it. You don't know why you have it. You just have it because it's the most expensive stuff. You don't want to waste money and it not bring value to you, what you're, or it can't bring value to you because you don't understand it. So a simple webcam, if you want to do video podcasts, it's fine. You can use, if you've got a DSLR camera, most of them have a video output that you can use. You can run it into a computer, or you can run your microphones into it. You can run your USB or XLR mics into them, depending on the interface that you have. That allows it to be more of a professional looking type of podcast. So equipment out of the way, very simple. You can use your headphone, in recap, the headphones that come with your smartphone. You can use a USB mic, preferably Blue Yeti or Blue Snowball, or you can go with the XLR mic. You can go with a condenser or a dynamic mic, depends on what your cases are going to be. So that's the equipment. Another thing I want to touch on when it comes to doing a podcast is where you're gonna upload your podcast. Now, this is a conversation that I'm going to briefly touch on it because I feel like I can do another video where I'm going in depth about different sites that you can utilize, whether or not the sites are actually going to allow you to maintain ownership and 100% ownership of your stuff. So it's going to be one of those, videos where I'm going to dive into it, but I'll briefly touch on it here. So you can upload a podcast, and most people generally think video format for a podcast because of Joe Rogan, right? But typically podcasts are audio primarily, with sometimes you can have them in a video format as well. So if you wanted to do the traditional way of audio, you generally need to turn your podcast into an MP3 format, and then you're going to upload that format to whatever your hosting site is. There's various ways that you can do it. Sometimes you can even just use apps like Spreaker that allow you to record everything on the app, and it automatically will upload it into an audio format. So many different sites and apps that you can utilize to get your podcast up on the main stage. And when I say the main stage, I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and more. So the thing you want to look out for is you want to make sure you read the fine print and make sure you own 100% of your podcast. You don't want that to be going out to someone else where you're making the content, but these sites or this company actually owns it, and then you decide you want to go to another hosting site and you can't transfer your podcast over. Trust me, I've been through it. A good portion of my episodes are no longer available just because I don't own the rights to them, because one of the sites that I use actually owns all of it. So it's very annoying dealing with that. So you guys just need to make sure you don't run into that issue. Me personally, my hosting site is launchpad.dm. I use that to host my podcast, so it allows me to retain 100% of ownership of my podcast, along with easy access to distribution. So if I want to distribute it to Apple, Spotify, Google, whatever, it actually walks you through and gives you the links and helps you distribute it out to those platforms. And one of the other things that I do is I also route my podcast over to my website, mikkelcasanova.com. So if people go to the website, they can also catch the podcast there, along with being on those major outlets. Now, one of the other things you probably are thinking of doing is creating a podcast in a video format. I also have a video format for my podcast when I interview guests. And one of the cool things about that, or doing it in a video format, is you're able to give the audience something tangible to look at. Even though predominantly when people think of podcasts, or they listen or watch podcasts, they're more listening than they are visual, but giving them something to visually look at, that's also a good thing as well. So the video format for my podcast is available on my YouTube channel, so youtube.com/mikkelcasanova. It's also available on twitch.tv/mikkelcasanova. I more often than not, when I do a live stream of a podcast, I stream it on Twitch, and then I'll re-upload it on YouTube with the edits and everything, including intro, outro, and the like. So you just need to record if you want to. Depends on what you want to utilize to do your podcast. If you want to do a video format, if you want to just record it, or if you want to stream it, you can use various software. You can use Discord, you can utilize Zoom, you can use Skype. But for me personally, I found that the best site that I use, the best software and best platform for recording my podcasts and for streaming them and allowing me to do everything in once, and it just clears up all of the process of going into doing a show, is StreamYards. So I have a link in the description if you want to click on there and get set up with utilizing StreamYards. It allows you to do overlays. It allows you to do just about everything. Honestly, I can have my overlay, I can have my intro, my outro, my mid-roll ads if I want to run ads, or whatever I want to do. Everything is right there. And I can also, if I'm streaming it, then if I'm on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn, what I'm able to do is if someone has comments, I can throw the comments up on the screen, or I can have the private chat section. It's a very comprehensive software and suite of web-based equipment. Basically it's web-based equipment that you can utilize, and there's a free version as well as a paid version that gives you different tiers of either 720 recording and streaming, or up to 1080p recording and streaming. So they have various different things, but information for that is down below if you want to learn about that and utilize that. It really makes the podcasting format incredibly easy. The other benefit of that too is you could do your whole podcast on that, and you can either download it in video format, or you can just download the audio, and that's that. So it's that incredibly simple. So those are some of the things right there. That's definitely some of the things that you should consider if you're looking at getting into podcasting. I know it may come off a little overwhelming, but given that the time we're in right now, a lot of people have voices that they want people to hear. They have things that they want to talk about, and they want to get that out to the world. So honestly, if you want to get into podcasting, my thing is go ahead and do it. Just realize that you don't come into it trying to be a perfectionist, just thinking that, oh, I'm going to do this, and this. It has to be right. I had the perfect equipment, the perfect topics, the perfect this. You learn and evolve as you go. Just naturally, just flow with it. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below, or you can join the Discord that I have where, If you have any questions, I can be reached there, or follow me on social media, because I'm also on social media as well. And that's just about it. That's the video. I saw that there was a need for it. I saw that there's a lot of videos on how to start, but there's nothing that goes into depth. It's very surface level content that's here on the platform of YouTube about how to start a podcast. So I figured I'd do something a little bit more in depth. And I know it might seem strange given that I primarily have video game content on this channel, and I felt like I could share the knowledge that I have here with you all if you guys are curious. And yeah, there we go. That's the video. So that being said, if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. You know, become a channel member if you want to support what we do here, completely optional. And if you want to get some equipment, if you want to utilize what I'm using, I have a link down below that showcases everything that I have. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great one. If you want more exclusive content, I'm going to have more in-depth exclusive content over on my Patreon. So patreon.com/MikhailCasanova. That's going to have really in-depth stuff. And with that being said, I'm signing out. I hope you have a great one. Have a great rest of your day. And happy podcasting. See you later.
Kept you waiting, huh?
To get into the voice, like, did you have to, like, did they give you voice direction of how they wanted Snake to sound, or that was all you?
Yeah, that was all me. In fact, I auditioned with this voice, my voice, and and I was Solid Snake, and I'm doing this thing. I mean, I was probably like my young hero voice, which, like young fighter pilot type of dude, so, that sort of thing. And then I got the script, and the script said he was already a legend. He'd already retired, and he didn't want to come back. So I was like, I was 28 at the time, and I was like, this guy seems like he's older than me, and he seems like he's a little bitter, and it seems like he's tired. And, I needed to give it a little more of that sort of Clint Eastwood weight. Not that I was thinking Clint Eastwood, but just, he's the graveliest, most, iconic old soldier that there ever was. So, and I felt that my voice was too young. If I did it like this, it just, I'm not going back. It's like my voice was more suited for Raiden, really, that type of character. So it changed while I was reading the script, and then I came in. So I auditioned, and then it was like a couple weeks later that I started recording it. And by the time I started recording it, the voice was completely different from what they had cast. And halfway through the day, Chris Zimmerman said, "I'm going to play back your audition." So she played it for me, and it was just absolutely diametrically opposed to what I was doing. And I was like, do you want me to go back and do it like the audition? They're like, no, we love it. Just keep going. So that's how it happened. It just came together.